Hey y'all, I want to share with y'all one of the top recipes I've been using lately. It's cheap, easy, reliable, and doesn't take a lot. It's awesome. So we're gonna make an easy tortilla soup. Let's dive in. So here's everything you need. One big pot, a spatula to stir with, 8 cups of water, a colander. I know an easy tip to get around that. A can opener, also you can get around that. You don't actually need one to open cans, but it's way easier. Pico de gallo, this is the secret, like easy, short, fast tip and trick I use. But basically if you want to make it on your own, it's just tomatoes, onions, cilantro, jalapeno, a little bit of lime juice, and a little bit of salt and garlic powder is what I use. And then 2 cans of hominy, 3 cans of black beans. I prefer the no salt added. And then for vegetable broth, so you can use either chicken or vegetable broth. And all we do is 1 vegetable cube per cup. So 8 of those, or you can buy like tortilla soup broth at H-E-B. And let's dive in and get started. So step number 1, what we're gonna do is we're gonna open our pico de gallo, or if you made it at home, great. And then we're gonna add it to our giant pot, and that's going to sit and saute. And while we do that, we're gonna get over and start washing our beans. Step number 2, we're going to open all of our cans and dump them into a colander to wash out. And the reason we do that is because you wash all of that processed stuff and those liquids and everything, and that little bit of like sludge, especially in black beans, which you don't really want directly in your system, and your body's gonna thank you for that. So the way to get, without having to use a colander, is to open a can of beans about 90% of the way, and I'll show you right now. So you go almost all the way around, but still leave a little area attached, so that way you can literally use it like this. And drain your beans, and then you just add water, shake it up, do it again, do it a couple times, way easier with a colander, but you know, sometimes you don't have one, and it's better than dumping your beans. Step number 3, we're just gonna wash our beans. That's pretty self-explanatory. You got it. And we wash our beans because we don't need that stuff. Anyways, let's dive into step number 4-ish, if you don't count washing your beans. And all we're gonna do is we're gonna unwrap these little cubes and dump them in some hot water. And you can use a microwave if you need, or you can already have hot water and you're good. Don't forget that while your pico de gallo is on, you're stirring it, and what you're looking for is for the onions to cook clear and cook some of that moisture off. And then you're gonna be ready to dump in the beans and broth. All right, step 5, we're gonna start adding stuff together. This is looking pretty good. So we're gonna go ahead and add in our broth. Don't worry if the cubes haven't completely dissolved, because you're gonna bring everything to a low simmer and boil anyways. We're gonna add in the beans and hominy. We're gonna stir all that together and let it sit and come to a low simmer, and you're gonna let it cook as much as you want. And this is the point where it kind of comes down to personal preference, how much moisture you want in your soup or not. I prefer a little bit less moisture, but to each their own. Y'all, and at this point, you are pretty much done with tortilla soup. You can cook it for 5 minutes, you can cook it for 10, you can add in a little bit of garlic powder, chili powder, whatever you want, and you're pretty much done. So yeah, let's wrap this up, shall we? So all those steps again. Number 1, you dumped your pico de gallo into your giant pot and started sauteing that. Number 2, you opened all your beans and washed them in a colander. Number 3, you added, either you already had your broth or you created your own broth with broth cubes, which is awesome and relatively cheap in comparison. And then basically once your pico's done sauteing, 4 or 5, you just throw it all together and let it simmer until you're done and ready to eat. And whenever you go to serve and plate up, I recommend adding some fresh cilantro, lime. You can toss in some avocado, and then of course it's not tortilla soup until you drop in some tortillas. And what I do personally, and this is personal preference, I pre-crush my tortilla chips and drop in there so that way they're not exploding all over the table or your face. And yeah, hope you enjoy. Let me know what you think.